Today's video is just a quick little tutorial on how to fit brake pads on an Audi A1. Some tools you'll need are a 7mm Allen key or ratchet and Allen key socket, a piston spreader tool, a large flat blade screwdriver and some brake grease and some lithium grease. Firstly, you'll need to remove the two 7mm Allen key sliders. Once you've got those out, you'll need to use a screwdriver just to pry the top of the caliper and pads away slightly, and this will allow you to lift them off the bottom as the hook behind the carrier on the lower half. If you've got a lip on the disc, you'll also need to pry the piston back a little bit, which you'll be able to get your screwdriver in. Just ease it back a tad to be able to get the pads past the disc. Once you've got your caliper off, remove your pads from the caliper. They're just held in with some retaining springs. And at this point, I went to chuck the old pads in the scrap bin, and on the way back, kicked the tripod holding the camera. Luckily, I have fast reactions and managed to catch the tripod before the camera hit the workshop floor. So we set the camera back up, and then on we go with fitting the new brake pads. So now you need your piston spreader tool. You use that to push the piston back, and that allows the new pads to go in, which will obviously be thicker than the old worn out ones. The piston comes out as the old pads wear down, so obviously the gap gets smaller as they wear down, which should stop you from being able to put new pads in without doing this. You can then use your flat screwdriver just to clean off any rust and corrosion, collection of brake dust, where the pads actually sit on the carrier, just to make sure that everything moves nice and freely. Now you're ready for putting your new pads in. There's two different types of clips on these brake pads. One is a silver clip, which is slightly larger, and that one goes into the piston. The smaller one, which is a black clip, goes into the outer part of the caliper. Colours of the clips may vary on other brands, but on the Padgett branded pads we're using today, they're silver and black. These pads clip positively into the caliper, and then you need to make sure the bottom half of the pads sit behind the carrier and lock into place. Put a small amount of pad grease on the surfaces which meet the carrier to stop them from squealing. Then grease the pins with a small amount of high temp lithium grease before sliding them back into the rubbers on the caliper. Use your 7mm Allen key to tighten them back up. They only need to be nipped and then a little bit more. Don't over tighten them. Also be careful not to cross thread them when you're putting them back in. Sometimes you have to wiggle the caliper a little bit to line them up and push it in while you start it. Once you've got that done and got them in and tight, pop the little plastic covers back in on top, and then job done. Same on the other side. Just remember to pump the brake pedal when you've finished and check the brake fluid level before driving.
Watch me bring